This episode is brought to you by Tic Tac. Your boss is going off at you for missing a deadline and you swear the clock just moved backwards. Suddenly, you remember the pack of Tic Tacs on your desk. Now you're riding horseback on the beach, the smell of citrus in the air. And what's this? Your boss is sitting behind you, breathing heavenly fresh mint? Refresh your mouth and mind and share your good vibes with Tic Tac.
Hello, I'm Diane Morgan. If you know who I am, you know who I am. If you don't, who cares? I'm here to explain Italian time, a holiday phenomenon where Italians throw away their clocks and gather for eternity with San Pellegrino. I've been at this party so long that I've eaten 5 courses, hugged someone's grandma twice and been offered a job in the family restaurant. So this holiday season, make sure to bring enough San Pellegrino to last you through the meal, the after meal and the entire goodbye ritual. San Pellegrino, holiday on Italian time.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans. Even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes, now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox, clean feels good.
We all love a legendary comeback, and Degree Original Cool Rush is back and better than ever. Cool Rush isn't just a scent, it's a movement, a fan favorite that delivers bold, fresh vibes and all-day sweat protection. Whether you have a man that spends hours in the gym, heads into the office early, or is just trying to stay fresh on a long day, Cool Rush has their back. Head to your local Walmart or Target and grab Degree Cool Rush, the fan favorite scent from the world's #1 antiperspirant brand.
Thanks for listening to the Red Treehouse, where I tell you scary stories to keep you up at night. You can listen to the Red Treehouse wherever you stream podcasts. Just be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Oh, and leave a 5-star review. An important note: sources for this episode can be found in the show notes. The Red Treehouse is dedicated to my dad. I love you, Pop. Over the past few years, one of my favorite things to do with my youngest son is watch cheesy paranormal shows on television. And we especially enjoy Paranormal Caught on Camera, Fact or Faked, and Ghost Adventures. More entertainment than science, these shows perfectly capture what I love most about the paranormal. The possibility that what we saw out of the corner of our eye, or the thing our minds are trying to understand, may be unexplainable or unidentifiable. Recently, while putting together my episode calendar for the show, I realized it has been a long while since we last covered a cryptid, all the way back in episode 162, where we explored the Goat Man. So, I sat down and started reading and researching, and I found one that caught my attention. In this episode of the Red Treehouse, we're going to explore the strange and creepy Fresno Nightcrawlers. Are they proof of extraterrestrial life? Or are they nothing more than an elaborate hoax? I'll share the story. You decide for yourself. I'm your host, Will. Welcome to the Red Treehouse. The 30-second video is grainy and tinted bluish-gray, with a timestamp of 12:48 on the bottom center. At the top left corner is what appears to be a tree, and on the lower right corner is what looks like a tire. By themselves, these are completely unspectacular, and made even more so because in the center of the video is a strange being that at first is difficult to describe, because it looks like a pair of pants without a torso, no arms, no stomach or chest, just legs walking from the top of the screen to the bottom. You heard that right. Walking. In some ways, the being looks like a wishbone walking through a field. And what makes the video even more intriguing is that just after the first sighting, a second creature was caught on film. First sighted in Fresno, California, a local man named Jose was awakened in the middle of the night by his barking dogs. Once the dogs settled down, he checked the surveillance cameras surrounding his property and, quote, spotted two strange, leggy creatures gliding across his front lawn in the middle of the night, end quote. The man woke up his brother, who claimed to find footprints in the yard, though interestingly enough, by the time others arrived, the rain had washed away any signs or evidence of the creatures. All that was left was the grayish, grainy video and a slew of questions. Jose eventually turned the video over to the city's Univision affiliate station, where it caught the attention of paranormal investigator Victor Camacho. After receiving the footage, Univision asked Camacho to review the footage and, quote, declare that the cryptids were indeed extraterrestrials, end quote. Wanting more evidence than the grainy footage, Camacho connected with Jose and eventually visited his home to see where the creatures were first seen. Something interesting. Camacho noted Jose's disposition when they first met, stating, quote, he didn't even want to go out of the house. He stayed home for a couple of weeks. It wasn't possible that someone tried to make this video just to fool you or the TV station, end quote. Later in 2008, Camacho presented the footage at a UFO conference, opening it up to the paranormal community, where it was met with a variety of responses and debate. Some believed the creatures were proof of extraterrestrial life, while others believed it was more supernatural, and still others believed the whole thing was a hoax. According to the Visit Fresno website, the strange creature has been dubbed the Fresno Nightcrawler. A bipedal cryptid, the Fresno Nightcrawler has been the subject of countless investigations, both in mainstream media and more independent content creators. But what is the Fresno Nightcrawler? One article described it as, quote, an extremely thin, white humanoid with no arms and two long legs. Nightcrawlers stand about approximately 1.5 meters, a little under 5 feet, with most of their height being made up of their legs as they possess an extremely small upper body, end quote. Another article stated, quote, it is a mysterious bipedal entity, primarily distinguished by its long, extremely thin legs and minimal upper body structure. Its small head seems to sit directly on its torso without a clean neck, giving it a very stark, unusual silhouette. The creature's overall height is modest, but the legs constitute most of its body length, creating a peculiar, almost stick-like appearance. It moves with a smooth, flowing motion that adds to its eerie presence, end quote. Besides the strange appearance of the Fresno Nightcrawlers, when compared to other cryptids, it stands out for its relative lack of aggression. In fact, there are no reported encounters with humans, and it is generally considered to be harmless. But is the Fresno Nightcrawler real? We'll explore this right after this quick ad break. Is the Fresno Nightcrawler real? Well, that depends on who you ask, because even though most seemingly lean towards it being an elaborate hoax, some are not so sure. And that's because investigators have been unable to definitively debunk the original video. And despite their best efforts to recreate the original footage, it has proven to be more difficult than anticipated. Comparatively, the Fresno Nightcrawler is not as well known, or researched, as the more famous cryptids like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. The number of reported sightings of the Nightcrawler also pale in comparison to its more famous cryptid cousins, with only a small handful since 2007. Though, in 2011, the Nightcrawler was allegedly spotted in Yosemite National Park, with the video showing, quote, two creatures of differing heights, both with the same long-legged, ethereal form as the original, end quote. We'll explore this more in just a few moments. But at least one article referenced Nightcrawler sightings in Poland in 2017 and Montana in 2020. Over the years, various theories have come to the surface, hoping to offer clarity on the Fresno Nightcrawlers. There are some who believe the Nightcrawler is proof of extraterrestrial life, at least in part because of the location of the sightings. Fresno and Yosemite National Park are considered UFO hotspots, where an unusually high number of strange sightings occur. And, according to the Fresno Bee, quote, Fresno ranked number 6 in terms of California cities with the most UFO sightings, end quote. It has also been suggested that the Nightcrawler was a part of regional Native American folklore, though it's important to note that this theory has been thoroughly debunked. Still, there are others who think the Nightcrawler is an as-yet unidentified cryptid, a creature whose existence is questioned, but not proven by scientific evidence, much like Bigfoot, Nessie, and the Chupacabra. What's interesting is that the original 2007 video accounts for nearly all of the evidence of the creature's existence, and without it, we would never know anything about it at all, assuming, of course, that it's real. And of course, as with any cryptid or unexplained thing, there are a significant number of skeptics who claim the Fresno Nightcrawler is nothing more than a conspiracy or hoax. A Discovery UK article stated, quote, the Fresno Nightcrawler sightings could be elaborate hoaxes, created using puppets or computer-generated imagery. Others propose that the creature might be a misidentified animal, such as a deer on its hind legs, whose appearance was distorted by the camera. End quote. While digging around on Reddit, I came across an interesting thread with a picture of someone claiming to be the creator of the Nightcrawler sighting in Yosemite. Quote, it is time for the truth. I am the creator of the Yosemite sighting of the Fresno Nightcrawlers. This is my fake account, Sierra Parahunter, and the first post of the two creatures that exists on YouTube. Why did I do it? I am a filmmaker. My last film was The Girl on the Mountain, released by Saban Films in 2022. It hit number 9 most watched on Amazon Prime in 2024. Back when I created the Nightcrawler video, I was part of a paranormal TV pilot that was positioning itself to be similar to Fact or Faked. My father and I were part of the show where we proved the paranormal event could be recreated. This video was only intended to convince the host of the paranormal TV show that it was a real sighting, so we could reveal how we did it when he showed it to us, like a paranormal inception. When the show never went anywhere, we forgot to take the video down. By the time we realized, it had a huge amount of views and had been reposted everywhere. People enjoyed it, so we just let it stay up. End quote. Of course, commenters on the thread went back and forth about the hoax claim, though if true, it would be a huge blow to the authenticity of Jose's video in 2007. Despite this, Fresno locals have embraced the strange creature as their own, and while researching, I found more than a handful of sites and references to Fresno Nightcrawler merchandise. And still, to this day, nearly 19 years since Jose captured the eerie footage, the debate rages on as to whether or not the Nightcrawler is real. We'll continue after a quick ad break.
In Walmart's Hoonuville, everyone ready their cart. Amazing Black Friday deals are about to start. Online and in the app, such great deals to explore. Everything you love from tech, toys, and more. The days to save and the ones to remember. It's only the 25th to the 30th of November. Set your alarms. Don't miss out. These deals are epic, without a doubt. The Who's are all ready, but are you? Walmart Black Friday deals await. Who knew?
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, oh, Hilton stay.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. Enjoy comfortable rooms and friendly service when you stay with Hilton instead. Save up to 25% this season when you book with Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Terms apply.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo. There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do? I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault, a new series streaming now only on Peacock.
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to tell you that Michelob Ultra, the official beer partner of the NBA, is bringing NBA fans closer than ever this season with chances to win great prizes, including courtside tickets. Enter now at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra courtside 25 to 26. No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 plus. Begins on October 1st, 2025 and ends on June 30th, 2026. Multiple entry periods. See official rules at MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, prizes, and details.
As is often the case with these stories, I was hopeful to find either eyewitness testimony or a terrific creepypasta. And because the Nightcrawler is seemingly reclusive, I couldn't find any first-hand accounts. But I did come across a terrific creepypasta, which I'll share in its entirety. The Nightcrawler. There has been a lot of discussion surrounding the mysterious footage of the so-called Nightcrawler. I grew up in the Fresno area of California, and for many years had no handle on a terrifying teenage experience that haunts me to this day. It began in 1993, when 3 friends and I decided to spend an autumn night in the woods near Millerton Lake. It was the perfect conclusion to an amazing summer, and something we had planned for so long, but always found a way to put off. We walked aimlessly by the lake for hours, skipping stones, fishing, and enjoying the warmth of the quickly fading sunlight. The warmth soon disappeared behind the treetops, and we decided to walk a little further into the undergrowth to find a good spot to set up camp for the night. Alex and I set up the tent while Terrence began collecting wood for a campfire. We had beer, meat, and all the necessary components for a long night supply of s'mores. The cold autumn night air soon enveloped our campsite, and crickets began to sing as the smoky scent of the steak we were cooking drifted through the trees and up into the clear night sky. As we finished off the last of the beer, we noticed that we had slightly underestimated the amount of wood needed to keep a fire going, and so I decided to hunt around for some dry logs and branches. I paced around the campsite, but couldn't find anything more substantial than a couple of twigs, so I decided to grab a flashlight and leave the safety of our enclosure, out into the wall of darkness surrounding us. It soon became clear that this forest had experienced a run on fire-building materials, because for the life of me, I could not find anything big enough to justify carrying it back to camp. I didn't think I had wandered far when I heard a rush of air behind me. I turned around and saw the leaves on the forest floor twirling in the beam of my flashlight. A small dust devil, perhaps. But as I fixed my gaze ahead of me and back towards the campsite, I noticed that things were not quite right. I hadn't walked more than 200 meters, and yet I couldn't see any glow of a fire whatsoever. I began to feel incredibly uneasy at the implication that I had somehow wandered further from the campsite than imagined, and was now lost in these ominous woods, alone. I managed to collect myself and began retracing my steps. The sameness of every direction was disconcerting. However, I could see impressions in the dirt where I had previously walked, so I followed intently, knowing that I would soon see the glowing orange light of the fire and the welcoming silhouettes of my friends by a tent. The more I walked, the more I began to feel that things were not right. I was still following the trail of my footsteps, and yet somehow, after 5 minutes of walking, I was no closer to the campsite. I knew for sure that I had not walked for this long on my way out here. I stopped, feeling the need to crouch down and consider the situation before fear began to take hold. I looked around and began to notice that the trees around me felt strangely distant and faint, almost as if they were shrouded in a dark mist. This wasn't a physical mist, but rather something ominous that had somehow cloaked the forest in darkness. This wasn't just the darkness of night, but beyond that, you could feel it. I stood up, however, and logic prevailed as I continued along the long path of my footsteps. In the distance, I could see something familiar, and I immediately picked up the pace, and as I got closer, I realized that it was the campsite. But there was no fire. The camp felt completely cold and empty. It seemed strange that the fire would have died out so quickly, but not beyond reason. I finally reached the tent, and that uneasy feeling I had managed to suppress quickly reappeared as I realized that my friends were no longer there. I called out their names and shined my flashlight into the surrounding foliage, but there was no response. At this point, all semblance of composure left my body. I realized that they could have simply wandered off to try and find me, but I somehow knew that this was not the case. Call it a sixth sense if you will. I decided the only thing to do was to try to restart the fire with whatever fuel I could find. But no matter what I did, no flame would appear from my Zippo lighter, as if it too wanted to hide away from this overwhelming darkness. I sat down again with my head in my hands, racking my brain for an explanation of the events thus far. I began to feel the surrounding blackness scurry closer towards me, as if it knew that somehow the absence of fire had removed some protective force field from around the camp. The next thing I can recall is just being confronted by the most terrifying sound. It can only be described as an eerie whirring noise, almost like a tornado siren, but completely unnatural and unlike anything I have ever heard. Chills ran down my spine as I sat up to determine the source of this haunting sound. It seemed to reverberate throughout the tree trunks in all directions, as the breeze which had been ever present throughout the evening seemed to retreat almost instantly into silence. I heard footsteps, and immediately rejoiced that my friends were returning to the camp and that we could discuss the night's events and at long last put myself at ease. As I listened to these footsteps drawing closer, I felt a sudden uneasiness as I realized that there was something very wrong with the sound. They were far too slow. It sounded as if someone was walking unnaturally leisurely, artificially, or alternatively, that they were on stilts. The more I listened to these footsteps, the more convinced I became that this was the sound of someone walking on stilts, and this thought really scared me, because after all, who or what would be walking on stilts in this pitch blackness in the thick of a forest? I shone my flashlight in the direction of the sound, dreading what I might see, but I had to know. The footsteps were closer than ever now. They must be right here, I thought. Suddenly, I saw an object glint in the beam of light. The footsteps stopped. At that point, I was absolutely frozen in terror as I glimpsed a small white object through the trees. It moved slightly, and I saw what looked like a head and legs. The head turned slowly towards me, and what I saw caused me to scream, except no sound came out of my mouth. The head was completely featureless. There were no eyes, no mouth, no nose, and no ears, yet somehow I knew that it was looking at me. It had no body, just a featureless head attached to long, sinewy legs, and it must have been no more than 4 feet tall. It slowly turned its face back to the direction which it was traveling, as far as I could tell, and began its uncanny gait back into the darkness. I sat there, shaking and mumbling as I tried to console myself. I had no explanation for what I had just seen. Just as quickly as it had arrived, the ghostly darkness that had surrounded everything vanished, and the breeze returned to the trees. There they were, my friends, between the trees. I ran towards them, and they were shocked to see my expression. "What the hell is wrong?" Terrence shouted as I reached them. It seems they had heard something moving towards the edge of the lake and had gone to investigate, thinking it was me. It seems they too couldn't find their way back to the camp and had also found themselves trapped on some endless path to nowhere. I mentioned the sound, but they hadn't heard anything and had no idea how the fire had been extinguished, as it was still burning strong when they left. I told them about what I had just experienced, and Alex's facial expression turned to one of terror. He told me that others in the area had described seeing such creatures, and that they often carried with them a sense of dread. We headed to the camp and noticed that all of our watches had stopped running, and so we had no idea of the time frame in which these events occurred. Needless to say, at this point, we didn't sleep a wink that night, but the rest of it was uneventful. We left hastily at dawn. For years, I had wondered what these creatures were, and why this one felt the need to show up at our camp. All I had was this alleged folklore, and the fear that stayed with me since that night. It seems now that there is video evidence of these creatures venturing outside of the forest and into built-up areas. I can't help but wonder what it is that is drawing them closer to humankind, and just what it is that they may be planning. In the meantime, we may never know. I'll admit, I lean heavily towards skepticism with this cryptid. It's tough for me to explain exactly why, but some of it has to do with my initial reaction to the video. While watching, I immediately thought, damn, those are some pretty good practical effects. For me though, it creates an interesting dilemma, because I do believe there is extraterrestrial life in the universe. And I wholeheartedly believe that there are a lot of things that we can't explain in our own world. This one though, it just feels hoaxy. What do you think? As we close this episode of the Red Treehouse, we're left with these lingering questions. Are the Fresno Nightcrawlers proof of extraterrestrial life? Or are they nothing more than an elaborate hoax? I've shared the story. Now you decide for yourself. I'm your host, Will. Thanks for joining me in the Red Treehouse.